Bhagavatam. Today we are reading from Canto 3, chapter 32, starting with text 34 to 36. By performing fruitive activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, by performing austerities, by studying various literatures, by conducting philosophical research, by controlling the mind, by subduing the senses, by accepting the renounced order of life, and by performing the prescribed duties of one's social order, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, by performing devotional service, and by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment, by understanding the science of self-realization, and by developing a strong sense of detachment, one who is expert in understanding the different processes of self-realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in transcendence. Text 37. My dear mother, I have explained to you the process of devotional service and its identity in 4 different social divisions. I have explained to you as well how eternal time is chasing the living entities, although it is imperceptible to them. Text 38. There are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. My dear mother, if anyone enters into that forgetfulness, he is unable to understand where his movements will end. Text 39. Lord Kapila continued, this instruction is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, or for persons who are unclean in their behavior. Nor is it for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of material possessions. Text 40. It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to family life, nor to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of the devotees and the personality of Godhead. Text 41. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. Text 43. Anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd Canto, 32nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Daishik Madhavi. Whenever you're ready, you can start, Madhavi, Aradhya Madhavi.
Okay, Prabhu. Prabhu, I'm just going to share my screen just in case, just because I don't have my Bhagavatam with me.
Sure.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Can you hear me clearly? Because last time you couldn't.
Yeah, I can hear, Madhavi.
Thank you, Prabhu. So we are reading, thank you, Devi Shakti Mataji, for reading those translations. So it's chapter 32, entanglement in fruitive activities, and text 34 to 43. That's the end of the chapter. So in this chapter, we saw that Kapila Muni is describing or summarizing the teachings to his mother, Devahuti. And he's describing, Kapila Muni is describing people who are not doing the sinful activities. So you saw in the previous chapter, like people who are doing sinful activities, etc., or prescribed duties according to the scriptures. So we'll start with text 34 to 36. So in text 34 to 36, it describes the various paths to realize God. What are the paths to realize God or Krishna? So Srila Prabhupada in his, I'll mention this, Srila Prabhupada in his, in this text, restates the conclusion concisely, that the goal of all process is to what? Attain Krishna. So in the purport, it says, when one is able to see his real constitutional position, he sees all other processes and becomes situated in the state of pure devotional service. At that time, he can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. So in simple language, one can achieve real constitutional position. So when one can achieve the real constitutional position is when he or she or that person is free from those 6 anarthas: lust, anger, greed, enviousness, jealousy, attachment, a family, etc. And then gradually one can situate himself in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in truth. So in the purport, I'm going to mention this, so I kept this purport up. So also in the purport, it's stated that that the performance of fruitive activities and sacrifices and distribution of charity are activities meant for the persons who are in the householder order of societies. So you know that it's in the purport here, I pulled it up. There are 4 orders of social system, which are, what are they? Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. And for the Grihasthas, or the householder life, so their main goal is to what? Grihasthas is to support all 3 other orders of the social system. They'd give charities, and then their action is according to the prescribed duties, especially what's recommended in the scriptures. On the study of, similarly, austerity, study of Vedic literature, and philosophical research are meant for the Vanaprasthas, or the retired persons. And studies of Vedic literature from a bona fide spiritual master is meant for the brahmachari, or a student. Brahmacharis are meant to follow all the Vedic regulations, not everybody, but specifically, and follow the teachings of the bona fide spiritual master. And the last one is the sannyasis, or the people who are in, or or the people who are in renounced order of life, those sannyasis. And so all these activities are prescribed for different persons, so they may be elevated to the platform of self-realization, from there to Krishna consciousness and devotional service. So the goal of this even social order is to, again, realize this, to self-realize and attain the perfection life, which is the Krishna consciousness. Another thing that I wanted to mention here is that there are 9 different processes. How do you increase the attachment to Krishna? So there are 9 different processes to attain, increase attachment to the Supreme Lord. There are 9 processes. Hearing Krishna Katha, chanting the holy name that we do every day, remembering Krishna at all times, worshiping the deities, serving the Lord, making friendship with the with Krishna. And how do you make friendship with Krishna? That is, you cannot make friendship until you have all those 6 anarthas. Unless you are free from those 6 anarthas, and you become pure and see everyone equally. The other part is praying the right prayers, not the wrong prayers, the right prayers. The prayers will shape you. And offering everything, meaning everything, whatever you do it for Krishna. And serving the lotus feet of the Lord. So all of that stuff, like how you increase the attachment to the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada says that understanding of one's real constitutional position. So he says that if one actually understands one's constitutional position as an eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord, he becomes detached from the service of the material world. So getting to this position, or like getting to this position of understanding the real constitutional position, we need to follow those 9 different processes: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, making friendship, etc. And we need to associate with pure devotees. Association is very important. That is, if you associate with like-minded people, such as sincere devotees, you will likely become one like them. But if you associate with non-devotees, you are more likely to not follow Krishna consciousness. So in this case, if you're already a pure devotee that you don't know of Krishna, you would want that opportunity to associate with non-devotees to make them devotees. So what I meant here is, if you're already a pure devotees, you don't mind associating with non-devotees because eventually you will make them devotees, right? Other thing about association is that one should learn how to like how do you associate with devotees, of the Lord. So by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. And once devotees develop their loving relationship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And thus by encouraging one another, they can give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. So whenever we meet a devotee, it shouldn't be like other gossips. It should be all about Krishna Katha. You should talk about something that you learned, something that you are reading about. So that should be the talk of the town and not the gossip. So, and then we also need to follow the instructions of a guru. So it is a long process to get to that position of real constitutional position, but we can do our part of sadhana bhakti so perfectly. So chanting in the Brahma Muhurta, all of this, and then following 4 regulative principles: no meat-eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, etc. And in some life or in this life, we can achieve love for Krishna or getting close to that. Text 37. So in text 37, I'm going to read the purport actually. So Lord Kapila Dev is summarizing the importance of process of devotional service, which is bhakti or bhakti yoga, as described in the described before. And then it says it's divided into 4 divisions: 3 in the material modes of, I have to remove this, 4 in the, divided into 4 divisions: 3 in the material modes of nature and 1 in the transcendence, which is untinged by the modes of material nature. Devotional service mixed with the modes of material nature is a means for material existence, whereas devotional service without desires for fruitive result and with attempts for empirical philosophical research is pure transcendental devotional service. So basically here, Kapil Dev Muni is concluding here by summarizing the importance of the process. of the process of devotional service. He's saying this to his mother Devhuti. He showed that Bhagavan is the goal of all paths. Moving on to text 38. So in here, unless the living entity receives the mercy of the saintly persons, the spiritual master or Krishna, it is not possible for him to get out of the darkness of material existence by his own endeavor. It is not possible. We should never endeavor our own when it comes to spiritual practices. Once one enters into the consciousness or continuation of material existence, it is very difficult to get out. Therefore, we know that the God himself, the Supreme Personality of God, comes himself or sends his spiritual or bona fide representative, and he leaves behind scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, so that the living entities hovering in the darkness of nations may take advantage of the instruction. The saintly persons and the spiritual master, and thus be freed. So in Kali Yuga, Lord descends himself as the scriptural incarnation. So we have to focus our attention to studying and relishing Srila Prabhupada's books, to detach from those worldly matters. We need to have a bona fide guru, who is the representative of Krishna, who can guide us to get out of the clutches of this material existence. So just to briefly on the Srimad Bhagavatam, that of all the sacred Vaishnava scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam is considered the topmost. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hailed the Bhagavatam as the spotless authority amongst the Vedic literatures, Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu declared that hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the 5 most potent forms of Bhakti Yoga. And Srila Prabhupada regarded Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the sound representative of Lord Krishna, as the postgraduate study of the science of Godhead. So basically, we should every day read Srimad Bhagavatam. In text 39 to 42. So in those 39 to 42 texts, it talks about who should and should not be instructed, Sankhya or Bhakti. So here the topic changes a little bit. So Kapil Deva Muni offers a caveat to his teachings. So he gave all this knowledge to his mother Devahuti. And now he's telling that before you share with others, I want to caution you. That's what he says to his mother. So as we read in the translation, that this instruction is not meant for envious, for the agnostics, or for persons who are unclean in their behavior, nor it is for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of material possessions. It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too detached and too attached to family life, not to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of the devotees and of the personality of Godhead. So here, the question is, why should we not give it to these people? The world is full of all these people, right? And all these people only, correct? So here it is not, so I'm going to talk a little bit about preaching, maybe I'm not qualified, but I'll still mention it for my purification. So here it is not emphasized that one should not preach, right? It means that first create the qualification first you have to make them receptive. Receptive, create the appetite, and then feed them. So merely feeding them will not help. So you cannot just start giving knowledge when you go out for preaching. You cannot just start giving knowledge without creating an appetite. And then once they have some enthusiasm to receive the knowledge, then give that knowledge. The main goal of preaching means to create the qualification. And when we create that qualification, there is also preaching. And when we know that if one does not have the qualification to receive the message, the direct message not be given. So we shouldn't give the direct message about the main content of the Bhagavatam. Message should be given in such a way that the person develops favorable appetite. Otherwise, it's not proper preaching. We are just wasting our time. So this does not mean that one should stop preaching, but one should redefine what is preaching. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes about 10 offenses and of the holy name, and the 9th is not preach someone who has no faith. So this means that one should not give the confidential glories of the holy name to such a person, but give them something that they will not have problems accepting. One should not go and start referencing different scriptures, etc. They will not understand or agree. So one has to create the qualification and never preach to those who hate devotees. And then from the purport, it says that instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious and friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside of purview of Krishna consciousness. So we should understand all of that. So in text 42, very important text. So in the beginning, when we know that no one can be elevated to the highest stage of devotional service. So in this text, bhakta means, who is bhakta? One who does not hesitate to accept the reformatory process of becoming a bhakta. In text 42, Srila Prabhupada gives, in that extensive purport, Srila Prabhupada explains about how we can advance in Krishna consciousness. There are 6 excerpts that I'm going to say. So these are the formulas to advance in Krishna consciousness. First is to serve a devotee. Where are you? So first is to serve a devotee, to chant the holy name according to a certain counting method. We do 16 rounds every day. To worship the deity, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from a self-realized person, and to live in a sacred place where devotional service is not disturbed are the first out of 64 devotional activities for making progress in devotional service. One who has accepted these 5 chief activities is called a devotee. Here, the main goal is to serve a devotee. All those 9 processes, hearing, chanting, deity worship, praying, all that stuff counts here, accounted here. Second, one must be prepared to offer the necessary respect and honor to the spiritual master. He should not be unnecessarily envious of his god brothers. Rather, if a god brother is more enlightened and advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should accept him as almost equal to the spiritual master, and one should be happy to see such god brothers advance in Krishna consciousness. Here, basically, we need to observe ourselves that how envious we become when we see someone advancing in front of us. Without complaining, you should observe, then react. Things like that happen quite a bit. But when you're envious of someone, like, let me tell you the definition of envy. Envy is an emotion which occurs when a person lacks another's quality, skill, achievement, or possession and wishes that other lacked it. Like, why should he or she has it? I want to have it, like that. And envy is very dangerous in the path of bhakti. So we should observe ourselves and make advancement by correcting our own behavior. Since we need help overcoming such obstacles, we need the guidance from a spiritual master. So having a guru, bona fide spiritual master, is very important. A devotee, third one, a devotee should always be very kind to the general public in instructing Krishna consciousness, because that is the only solution for getting out of the clutches of Maya. So here, Srila Prabhupada is talking about kindness, how kind a devotee should be. Devotee should always be kind, have compassion for others. And that is the humanitarian work. So that is to show mercy to other people who need it very badly. Number 4, not only he is detached from activities which are not connected to Krishna consciousness, but he should be internally averse to the material way of life. So we should gradually move to that process of detachment from the material activities. Number 5, to become actually cleansed externally and internally, one should chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna or Vishnu, constantly. So in all of our daily activities, we should always keep Krishna in our mind, words, and actions. So when we have Krishna in our minds, words, and actions, I don't think we'll offend anybody. I think we'll progress in Krishna consciousness even more rapidly than we would otherwise. Another important thing that I wanted to mention is that we're almost done. It's in the purport itself that the spiritual master should train his disciple in such a way so that in the future only the Supreme Personality of Godhead be the dearmost goal of his life. So one understanding of this is that the spiritual master should not accept a disciple or initiate him or her until one develops necessary qualification. He should be made worthy and then initiated. So therefore, we should, in order to reach to that goal, we should keep our morning sadhana very seriously. We should take our morning sadhana very seriously, so we can gradually advance in Krishna consciousness and be awarded with a bona fide representative of Krishna, which is a spiritual master. Last verse of the day, in text 43, is a Falashruti. Kapila Muni concludes with a benediction. He says that anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. So here, in this chapter, the essence of Kapil Dev instruction is that karma, gnana, all these paths are not helpful for someone to achieve ultimate perfection. Best is Bhakti Yoga to the Supreme Lord. And through Bhakti Yoga, we will get full realization of the Supreme Lord, and we'll get all the benefits that we get from other paths also. So that is the essential teaching of Kapil Dev. So purports for today, so 39 to 41 for preaching purpose. So verses 39 and 41 have no purports. Just text 40 has one. So the primary or initial things to do before giving or preaching the subject matter, it talks about that. And so and what we really want is Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada doesn't mention that you should not preach to them, but we should help them remove some anarthas in order for us to help them understand Krishna consciousness. So maybe in this lifetime or in another lifetime, they can become devotee, and it may take several lifetimes to take Krishna consciousness seriously. So here, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much, Aradhya Mataji. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for the wonderful class, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.